Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast, where we talk about the Pokemon TCG. I'm Uncommon Fossil, and joined as always by Ten Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And this week we've got a fun episode. And when I say fun, that's an ironic fun, because it's a topic that actually was your idea to do, which is something not a topic you usually like to talk about in general, and you also don't you like to keep things positive. And I think that's going to be a challenge to this topic. So why don't you tell us what the topic is and why you thought this week was a good time to do it?
Yeah, so we're talking about Pokemon TCG Live. Pokemon TCG Live recently had some major issues this week. This isn't something completely unheard of for Live, but it was quite bad. I haven't really been playing that much Live lately, to be honest. And also, Pocket has been, going around and being, successful. And so in some ways, that's putting pressure on Live as they are. They're both Pokemon TCG games, and there's a lot of stuff just going on with that's not good. Long story short, Live is bad. So there was an update though, and I see that you're challenging me. If you're just listening, we'll narrate stuff. But yeah, it says no timers mode, which is a new addition.
Right. So what happened is, well, just a real brief recap. It's been 3 years since the beta launched in Canada, and they expanded the beta, and it was a bad experience all around. And then the global beta we've had it for 2 years, 3 months, and it's been out of beta now for 1 year and 8 months. So 1 year, 8 months in. And what I think I said when the game started, it was a bad start. I said, I think it could get sorted out between the next 1 to 2 years. We're approaching the end of that 2 year mark, and it's unfortunately not close to getting sorted out, which is not good. A year ago they added the battle log, so that was the first real positive they added to the game. And our last week's podcast, I said they're fine, and now a year after that, they're going to do this next good thing, which was to add the ability to mute emotes, which that does work, and I'm glad
Oh,
for
can you
that.
emote? I haven't actually
Yeah, I
really
didn't call
used
the
it.
coin flip, so we turned off. So we're playing a game, so you can turn off match timers with friends, which we're doing here. We're not gonna. We're just gonna kind of casually play this game, and but also to show the bugs. And I don't remember
Oh,
if I'm
can you
supposed to
can
go
you
first or
emote?
second with my list.
Uh,
Yeah, sorry.
and
So
so I see that. Can you emote again?
yeah,
Okay, and I
you
assume you
get. I
did.
gave you. I gave you a thumbs down there, and
Okay.
you did not see that.
No, no, I did not see that. So, we're not trying to
Okay,
play well either. We're just like happen to be playing a game as this is going on. But yeah, we're
right.
playing, testing out some glitches. I played, I think, 2 games since the update happened, and did not see the glitches happen. I like tried to have it happen. The game was not working great, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. Right. Well, there were three things they did that were good with this change, or at least should be good with this change. Oh no, I don't want that. Sorry.
Yeah, I assume the first one,
Um,
as you said, muting the emotes is like
Emotes, which was the
good.
big thing,
Mhm.
and people have been asking for that for a long time. So that's very positive there. Um, that then not having match timers on with friends, turn off timers with friends matches, which is good for casual things, testing, and then also it will automatically take the last prize cards. So and it does do that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, would
I
you
can
like me to
verify.
Iono you?
Uh, I don't have a good hand, so
Okay, I got it. I got you. We're trying to make the game work. Oh, so I am doing the first thing that I have, I'd say, an issue with, which, oh, no, never mind. This isn't happening, but this was an issue. I don't know if this is still a thing, but with the glowing, like the blue glow under the cards when selecting cards, um, with like the blue
okay.
arrow. Do you know what I'm talking about? They
I do
added.
not know. Is it
So
maybe that?
yeah,
Is
if
that
when you
because they added click to select? So maybe it had to do with that. I don't
Maybe. Well,
know.
just like when you play, you probably saw when you played your Buddy Buddy Poffin, and I'm like playing Nest Ball, and there's like a blue thing. This might have actually always been there. I don't remember, but it's saying like the cards you can select, and then it appears before the cards are there, which I think is annoying. Looks like they changed it a little, but it still kind of appears there, which I would say is a
Okay.
glitch. It's a bit
Y-
bad in my opinion.
Yeah, a couple things. One, yeah, it's always like highlighted like of cards with abilities you can use and such. Um, although it doesn't do it consistently. So that's been a problem. So what happened is they did the update on Tuesday, and it's unfortunately one of the look. There's a lot of issues with live. It was down for 8 hours, which it always is every couple weeks. It's down for 8 hours, which isn't good, and that's just not how a major game for a major company should be. I would say. With PTCGO, it was down 3 hours every time a new set came out, so less time and a lot less frequently. So what happened is the update happened. I don't remember. I don't think the problems were immediate. Oh, by the way, do you want me to Iono you?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay, so let me think this through here. Oh, I need to get energy in the Discord. I haven't played Gardevoir in a while. So you couldn't actually get matches initially. So that's a problem, I would say.
Was it like I heard different things? So was it that you could? There's a point where you couldn't log into the game at all, right?
Um, Maybe I didn't have that, so maybe that was you couldn't. You could when I went in. And I think it was later. I don't know if it was Tuesday night or Wednesday. You couldn't find matches, and also the game store wasn't there. So somehow you weren't connecting properly to the servers, is what I'd say was happening. So yeah, which is not obviously. So I don't know what happened, and then that finally got sorted out. But then there's a whole bunch of energy related issues, is what I'd say. Um, and I don't know, I don't know why that
Oh, and
is.
now do you see the blue glow under the cards? There's like an arrow. Oh, you got
Oh,
me.
hang on, I was
There's
doing an
some,
action.
yeah, there might be
Yeah, the blue
delay.
box around it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always a bit of a lag type issue with things. So just kind of work it. They fixed that issue that now you can actually play matches and you can do things in the shop. But now there's all these energy related issues. And I'm going to read off. These are issues that I was looking at the forums that I've seen. Um, I guess I'll Artizone before I know here. Might as well thin the deck, right? Always thinning is winning. So.
Yep, I guess. But and I will say like the game not working at all, like losing the shop and like not being able to play matches is not that's like really bad. Um, for like that's I feel like so there's one thing that I think some people aren't. I guess it's a bit of a misconception about the game. It's not made really by the Pokemon Company. It's by the Pokemon Company International, which is like
Right.
a subgroup under the Pokemon Company. It's not like this. I mean, it's large, but it's not as big as the whole Pokemon Company. However, it is still like this is pretty, I'd say it's unacceptable for even like an indie game or something. Like this is really bad. And this is much bigger than that. It's something, made by someone like substantially large, and with money that they could, put into it, certainly more than they are. Um, and they should get the game to like an acceptable level. And
Yeah.
stuff going above and beyond is what we were really hoping for. They've not done that, and also obviously this is live is I'd say a little worse than Pokemon TCG Online. I don't know where you'd stand with that.
Look, I mean, I know we're all unhappy with the state of live, for a lot of reasons. It's been buggy the whole time. Um, with these newest set, yeah, live is worse because it took them a while to add the battle log, and then it took them, a year, over a year and a half before they added the mute emotes, the turn off match timers, the auto take last prizes, some of the basic things we had in PTCGO. We're still missing things from PTCGO. Still, certainly we can't do friends matches for expanded. We don't have full expanded mode. They've said they're going to do that. They can't get standard to work, so I don't have, I don't think they should prioritize expanded because, it's just going to be more of a mess. So,
Yeah. Oh, so I
um,
have a question. So I
yeah,
have the Arcaludon ready. How does this glitch work? I have not had this glitch. I played with the Gardevoir EX one game, and said
okay.
post this, but how do I do it? Do I just like use it?
Yes. So there's a bunch of energy glitches. Yeah, play the Archaludon. What should happen is it's going to what happens you play and you'll get the option to select the ability, and then it'll show you your energies, but you're not going to be able to select the energies and select a Pokemon. And eventually the timer will time
Ah.
out,
Oh.
and then
Yeah, no.
and
Okay,
then
I'm stuck.
you're not going to, the game's not going to, so you're kind of soft lock, but the game's not going to crash. What should happen is the energy is going to get accelerated to some Pokemon. If
Hmm.
you're lucky, it'll accelerate to the active
I
Pokemon,
guess
and you
there's
can do
only
what you
two
want it to do.
options, right? I can't
Yeah, I
actually see.
believe.
my bench. But
Yeah, you have one basic on the bench and the EX on the active. So and it might automatically do the active. I'm not certain.
yeah,
I
wait.
haven't
So you
fully
said
tested.
it'll happen when it like times out, right?
Yeah, so you're gonna have to wait
But this
and
is
it,
without
yeah.
timers,
Oh
so we
well,
might be stuck. We'll see.
oh
We'll wait
that's
here for a
true.
few minutes.
That's true. Maybe we need to turn the yes. So norm right, correct. With regular play, the timer comes up, goes to zero, and it automatically acts. So we might now be stuck and have to concede.
Yeah, it might be
Um,
that just I'm stuck and you'll be able to start doing stuff as well at some point. We'll see. But anyways, now we can pause for that gameplay, I guess.
yeah.
And yeah, this is like bad. We've seen other issues. This is like a soft lock bug. Right, the other energy issues, are they also soft lock bugs or are they like different?
No. So as I understand things, I'm Gardevoir EX. You can and it's all the big ones are energy related, and I don't none of the changes that they were addressing seem to address energy, so it's confusing. But with Gardevoir, you can knock out your Pokemon with Gardevoir's ability, which you're explicitly not supposed to be able to do and couldn't do before this. So you can keep knocking, so you can just put as many damage counters till you're knocked out. So
Yeah.
that's the
Oh,
problem
when I did
there.
it, I was not able to. Maybe it's you using it a bunch of times at the same time. I think what I did was I had a Pokemon with 60, or it was a Ralts that had
Mhm.
60 damage counters on it, and it wouldn't let me accelerate to it. But maybe it's once you're going, you can keep going as much as you want. Um,
That could be. I don't know. Yeah, I
which
don't
is
know the
obviously
ins and
still
outs.
a bug.
Hmm.
Or maybe I just wasn't
Yeah,
paying enough attention. I like did it wrong or something.
in other cards, which I've seen reports on, I haven't tried myself. There's Giovanni's Charisma, which you get rid of a special energy from your opponent's Pokemon. I think is that what
It's
it,
any
or a
energy.
basic energy?
Yeah.
Any energy is that
And it
from
can,
the
yeah, it's actually
active?
a card that, yeah, and I believe it's like one of the only cards, if not the only card, that can accelerate special energy. Well, there's like Archeops. I'm sure there's some, but this is one that's like decent, I guess. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, I played it a little bit. I always get it. And so that one does something wrong. I don't know what exactly. Gengar EX, which again, you move energies off your opponent's Pokemon, right? That's supposedly not working right. Scramble Switch, which lets you what you switch if you're active to the bench, but then you can switch the energies. I believe is that what
Yeah.
Scramble Switch does?
Yeah, you move them.
You can move them, so that doesn't work right. And the Magneton, which accelerates energies, is not supposedly not working. So somehow the game's confused by energy. So I'm thinking I'm gonna hit concede here. So I'll
Okay, yeah,
give
you
you
still can't do
the
anything.
victory. No.
Yeah. Tell me
So
when you, oh,
so
I won.
okay.
It
So I
didn't
just
crash. I
hit
was
concede.
wondering if once you can see it, it would still be stuck. So we've seen other soft lock glitches before, like there's one with the Mew VMAX, and
Right.
or at least a Sparkle or something like that.
Yeah, that was early days. Right after it came, the global beta happened. I think the update like the month later. People somehow, if you played Mew and you did something, yeah, at least a sparkled or something, it had to do with attaching energies to the Mew or something. It would soft lock, but then people were exploiting it too because the person that soft lock it would force your opponent to concede. So, which wasn't good. Also, in terms of how the community was reacting to it as well.
Yeah. It's Live obviously has issues, but there are other issues as well. But yeah, I have Elisa's Sparkle pulled up. So Elisa's Sparkle, what it says is you choose two of your Fusion Strike Pokemon. If you don't, I imagine probably most of you know what Fusion Strike Pokemon are, but if you don't, they're like agent feature Pokemon. It's just like a thing. And then for each of those Pokemon, you search your deck for a Fusion Strike energy and attach it to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. I'm pretty sure what happened is just when you played the game that played this card, the game will like freeze. However, there's another bug with it. So that I would say that bug is like completely unacceptable, right? Like that's sometimes weird stuff will
Yes.
happen. Like if this happens like once in the game's life, that's unfortunate. Um, but it really shouldn't be happening, right?
No, it shouldn't. And I think that one took them several weeks to sort out too, which wasn't good as well. So their response time, too many issues, and their response time's been very poor. But you had another issue you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, with this card, there was another bug. This is what I'd say is a more acceptable bug. It's so this says so Fusion Strike Energy, it's a special energy. You can have four of that in your deck. The I don't know the exact ruling. It's kind of complicated. I believe if it's you have four Fusion Strike Energy either in like your discard pile or your in play, then you're not allowed to play this card because obviously can't get anything, and you're not supposed to play a card for no effect. And shuffling your deck is not like counted there. And this did allow you to thin your hand, which is important for the deck. And it wasn't something that was like super meaningful or game changing, but it still was a bug. And that one was in the game. I think it's patched. I don't know. I think it's been fixed. I actually don't know though.
Hmm.
Do you know?
I think it's been fixed, but obviously it's not. Yeah, I'm not certain. I think so
Yeah.
though.
And
I think that.
it was there for a long time, and that's like,
Yeah.
bugs like this are, I don't think it's crazy for them to have a bug like this in the game. It's something that's like kind of a complicated ruling. We saw this ruling with, or saw another thing like this with, I believe it was Toadscroll and Pokestop, which Toadscroll's supposed to stop Pokestop, or I mean, essentially, neutralize it, and it didn't, and it just because there was some like ruling thing that was a little confusing, and they made a mistake, and mistakes do happen. And
Right.
so I think bugs like that being in the game, it'll happen. They should, fix them. They're relatively easy fixes. Or I don't know if they're super easy, but they're pretty doable. They should be pretty doable. And they should try to fix them. And instead, okay, so this is going to be another thing. I know some people like this, but I think it's a very small portion of people, and that is that instead Pokemon does a lot of updates. What is it, like every 2 weeks or so?
About, yeah, every 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like they're doing something. Yeah.
And these are major updates. I mean, they're taking the game down. It's not like these are fixes where like, oh yeah, they're just doing stuff behind the scenes. No, they're literally taking the whole. You can't play the game for. I'll just say the whole day. It's the whole work day for people. What on the west coast of the U.S. is it's PST, I think.
Yeah, right. Pacific time zone, which I think is where the devs are based out of. It gives them the work day to do it during regular office hours. I get that, but depending where you live, if you can't, particularly people like it's the evening time, if you can't play all evening, right? Which is probably if you're working, that's a common thing. So 8 hours is it's just too long to do.
Yeah, and they don't do like, they do a lot of the changes have been animation changes. I personally don't care about the animations, but I know some people do. But they're not even like necessarily good animation changes. There was one where they like changed the background and the game got like really laggy, which is bad. I think it was like definitively a downgrade. And then there are a lot that are like neutral, like the new there's a bunch. There's like probably five every update, and they're like okay. I'd say they're like laterals. Some are minor improvements, some are uh, downgrading the game a little bit, but they're doing this instead of like fixing actual issues with the game. And they keep doing this, and like a lot of their updates. I think you said you had something that you were going to say about this regarding the updates as well.
Yeah, a couple things. One, yeah, like I said, they are tweaking the graphics, which is fine. But yeah, they should be actually doing useful things. So there is a tracked issues page out there. I printed it out for my records to have a hard
Okay, so
copy.
how long is this? I feel like that's like a lot of.
Well, I'm not going to go through it at all. It's 4 pages
Haha.
of things. So we're not talking about it. There's like a half a page of things they call fixes incoming that they're going to fix, and then 3.5 pages of just of known issues. And I'm not sure how long it is printed now, but it's still pretty long. I'm just going to say, but they do update it. But it's also it's partly why I'm bringing it up is under fixes incoming. This is the current version. It says for the battle pass, players occasionally do not receive premium pass tier 0 when purchasing the premium pass. Except you guys took out the premium pass. That shouldn't be on this list at all, right? So they don't really know what the problems are, or they update things occasionally, but they're kind of all over the place, is what I'll say. With that, they still I don't. It's on this list somewhere. One of the big issues is the fact you can't select cards all the time. That's essentially a game losing glitch when it happens. It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but you still can't select like the Pokemon you want with Nest Ball sometimes or Ultra Ball or whatever. So that's a problem. But anyway, there's a thread from the forum. I just want to read this. It was why is this game broken now? And they said,
This is just some person, right?
a person, yeah, not going to worry about who it is. And they said, can it be fixed, or is the game totally broken forever? the mod, if you pay attention to the forum, to the forums, came out and said, "Hey, we understand your patience. Thank you, patient understanding. Send us contact support, right?" Which of
The
course
classic,
doesn't
the
do
classic.
anything. But then one of the other someone else posted on, yes, the game will be broken forever or forever be broken simply because they add more bugs that they can fix in every single game update. It's probably a slight exaggeration. They don't add more bugs every time they fix something, but it is pretty common that there's problems. And in this case, they added a whole ton of issues. So yeah, it's in a bad spot. I mean, I think we each do a little bit of coding. We're not coders per se, and this is a big project, but I think you have the logic when you set up a program, and if you do that wrong, you make your life difficult. And I think that there's some fundamental issues with live. I think that are just really flawed. Honestly, I don't think they're ever going to get live fully working. I think they're going to have to dump it and restart to get things sorted out.
Yeah, and Pokemon TCG Online was the predecessor to Live. Like exactly, they're just like kind of the one program was, it's not like Pocket, which is there are similarities, but no, no, these were like the same thing. But they obviously had differences. Pokemon TCG Online had it was okay. It had issues like performance issues. I mean, your like device would get really hot running it, and so that was because the coding was really bad. I'm pretty sure, and that was one of the I think big reasons for them to start over, and that was to get something going and get it like working well at the base. And they didn't do that. And I think, and you've said this a lot to me. I don't think you've said that much on the podcast, but that like the only reason for live is to cut costs, which I don't know how much they're spending on it. They're not making anything on live, and yeah,
Yeah, right. Because before with PTCGO, there was a outside company, what Direwolf, I think, if I remember
yeah,
correctly, that they were paying money to develop it and maintain it. Who did other games as well. So I think PTCO needed to get redone. So I mean, it's besides it's being deleted, we can't go back there. And yes, I because Pokemon's not like an overly to me a game that should tax the hard drive that much because I would play much more graphics intensive games. But when I would play a game of PTCGO, within a minute, the fan would start like cranking away at full blast and stuff because my hard drive was just working really hard to just sort out this trading card game. So as they add cards and new mechanics year after year, because it was like 10 years old or something, you just keep adding more and more to the code, and it gets sloppier and sloppier with more complex loops. I think is what happened. But unfortunately, they started things off on the wrong way for whatever reason. It's not a good place. And the one thing that the game had when they started out was the in-game economy was very friendly to players. It still is. It's still relative to other games. It's very accessible for budget players that don't want to spend money. But in the past, 6 months, they've made several changes that have all made the in-game economy tougher for people, which I don't know why you want to do that in a game that just doesn't work well. And I'm also looking at my screen and live, and I see like all these little glows around my play button and my tier thing. So they love adding these little graphics all the time, which it's annoying when they can't get the game to work. But they're making the in-game economy tougher, which to me only makes sense if they're gonna put microtransactions in the game. I think they're heading that direction. I think their struggle is though, how can they charge money for a game that is just so bad? And I think that's part of their problem.
yeah. I mean, it's like. So I'll say, because there's some things I like about live. I mean, I think it's a game that we play. I don't play that much. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's okay. Honestly, I feel like I wish there were more Pokemon cards. I mean, I like new cards, and so I get excited when there are new cards, and then as time goes on, it dulls. But Live is a game that it's like I mean, the Pokemon TCG is fun, and I'd say probably around 95% of the time you can play live and it works. It's like acceptable, and you can play the game. It's a game that um often works. 95 like percent of the time is not really anywhere near good enough for like an actual game, but regardless, it's something that people play. And then that's good. And then I like the economy right now, or I liked it. I think it's still solid. it's a little weird with the two currencies, but I think it's, as you said, it's pretty affordable. You said compare it to other games, but even just like, you know, some people say you can get everything for free. That's not really true, especially if you're a new player. You don't just instantly get everything for free. You need to build up a little bit, but you can certainly
Right.
get very good decks very quickly. And on top of that, you can get like I could realistically get any deck in the game, any standard deck. The expanded decks are actually more expensive, and then
Yep.
there's a bunch of different things with that which I think are solid, and yeah, those are the things I was wanting. I wanted them to be emotes. I'm going to say, there are some things that some people have asked for as well that I have not been a fan of. One is the rank ladder. I'll still stand by. I don't really love this being in the game. I think one thing, sometimes people get confused about this when I say I don't want a rank ladder. I still want a matchmaking system, because which also I don't know if like Live's matchmaking is pretty bad. I this feels bad to say, but some of my opponents have been so bad, and it's been really not fun. I played a game against someone. I was playing for Alligator. My opponent was also playing for Alligator, and like this is gonna make me sound so arrogant, but the skill difference was like so big. It was like they should have like probably wiped the floor with me. I got off to a bit of a rocky start, and they got off to a pretty strong start. I don't know exactly what they had, but they were in a better position. And I was able to, I took 6 buys, didn't take any, and this is an Arceus League as well. They were presumably, I think they just copied the deck that like won a tournament and were a relatively new player, and that's fine, and that's really cool for everyone to be playing the game, and people play the game at different levels, but it's definitely a game that's most fun when you're playing someone at the same skill level, and I assume they have like. I mean, they should be able to make the matchmaking better. And anyway, I do think a matchmaking system is important. I think it's okay where it's at, though not great. But then on top of that, I think that the matchmaking is. I mean, I think it makes people a little more toxic. I don't think it's like the biggest deal in the world. However, I've heard a lot of people asking for it and asking for it to be better, especially before Live came out. A lot of people wanted it, and then since it's come out, I've not heard anyone say much of anything about it. To be honest, not really much good. So I feel like that's something that the people behind Live have added something that people have asked for. In that situation, I mean obviously it's my opinion that I think it's not what Live needed, but they're adding that into the game because people asked for it, instead of fixing other things. And I guess to some extent then I'm also part of that issue if I'm saying they should like be able to view emotes, and they're adding that instead of fixing expanded or whatever, or like adding expanded. And so, though adding expanded is like a very different level of thing than obviously muting emotes, and then also the like matchmaking and ranking system is somewhere in the middle of that as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, for Live, look, PTCGO was not at the level of other trading card games because it was so old. So they needed to get redone. But Live still like isn't at I don't they added with this new thing, they added a number of features back into Live that PTZO had. I don't think it's still as developed as that yet. And plus obviously the expanded situation. So and Live's very buggy. Just a few things from the past of just showing the difficulties that happen when the beta went global. And this is part of their coordination. It went global, and that day it went global. You had to. They were doing the servers were down for maintenance for 8 hours, so you had to wait at least 6 hours before you actually play the game from when you could download it. And that's just it just means they're not they don't have their act didn't have their act together, right? That's just a simple coordinated issue between the global launch maintenance. Just schedule that, right? And I think unfortunately that's kind of how the company's run, or this game has run. Back when Scarlet and Violet first dropped, the rotation happened. Rotation happened like the day before Scarlet and Violet dropped, which meant you didn't actually have many ways to search out your Pokemon, because when Scarlet and Violet dropped, that rotation meant we lost Quick Ball, but which got replaced by Nest Ball with Scarlet and Violet. But you didn't have the Scarlet and Violet cards. But rotation happened, so you had a time period when basically you didn't really have any decks you could play, and it wasn't really worth bothering to figure something out because they weren't going to be good decks. and within a few hours it was going to go away. So just mistiming things. I think that was like specific time zone versus like the universal time or something. I think everyone wasn't on the same time zone there. And then they went ahead with Palafin EX last summer. They gave everyone Palafin EX card and deck, which was nice of them. But they did it at a time when Palafin EX broke the game, right? That I soft locked. I don't know if it hard locked or soft locked it, but it broke the game, and they give everyone and they still went ahead with the deck giveaway. So they're just making very poor choices over consistently over the whole history of the game.
Yeah, I will say, so it didn't soft lock or hard lock. I can't think of any hard lock, like just like freeze things. I'm sure there have been some. But yeah, there's been a lot of soft locks. This like kind of soft locked. It was really weird. This is probably the weirdest issue I can think of. Though I think the NG issue is like kind of similar to the one that was just added, but Palafin you actually play it, and then it would like start changing around your cards. So like I think I like it might have mismatched the image. It might be as simple as mismatching the images with the actual card, but I think it was more than that. I think like cards were like changing type and what they were. I decked out with cards in deck. Oh, another random thing. There's a card, Blaine's Quiz Show. This card was I think it's implemented into the game. I've never actually played it. I was gonna say let's play each other with it, but nope, we can't do that. So still you have like weird glitches that are just like so bizarre. And Blaine's Quiz Show being really like not working, let's be honest, who cares about that? But something like Palafin EX when they're giving it out to everyone and like completely breaking the game. It's not like, and by the way, this was one of the main cards from the set. It's not, yeah, I think Palafin EX is actually a solid card. I don't really play it, but I think it's decent. Or good, I guess I'll say. Not like, top tier competitive deck, but this is a card that people were thinking about and were excited to play, and Pokemon knew it, and that's why they're giving it away. And like I don't know, like it's not like it was some hard glitch to perform at all. If you literally played the Pokemon, the game would just completely break down, like completely. You could have like your cards like floating. I saw mostly the thing I saw. I had this happen a few times when I was playing it. I think I might have made multiple videos on it. And the as I said, the cards like switch out. It was a big mess.
Yeah. And one of the cards I've enjoyed in the past has been the Ditto from the Go set with the sudden transformation ability. It's a basic. It doesn't have an attack. The ability it copies basic Pokemon from your discard pile that don't have a rule box. I think the first glitch was when Palafin EX came out, or maybe the fix to that. All of a sudden I forget what it was now. You couldn't play. So I think you couldn't if you tried to play if you put Ditto in play. I think it locked up the game. And I like Ditto deck, so I was running into that. So it did have an issue. I believe, yeah. Occasionally, sometimes you couldn't put it in play at all. If the game let you put it in play within a few turns, the game was going to lock up and you're going to lose. They fixed it. Then they broke it again. I don't know if they fixed that issue where there's an attack that it says explicitly you can't use it turn after turn, and they started to allow you to do that. So they Ditto's a card they broken multiple times in different ways. So for things that they weren't doing anything to fix to that touch Ditto, but just they were doing things that kind of had tangentially related issues. And the way I think they've the code has been structured that they have all these unintended consequences, which I think is a big problem, and I think they're just going to keep having that. I think for the duration of life, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know how much there is to talk about like bugs and glitches. So is it think should we talk about like the future, or do you have other
Yeah,
things to
no, I
mention?
think we've hit enough of the past, and then people know it so as well. So if you're a new player, just be aware it's been going on for 3 years, right? Since we did not have access to it. We're not in Canada, but you had for that beta, it was even worse. I mean, the limited beta was even worse than it was. So the game has improved a lot, but it's still just not where it should be. So yeah, but you want to talk about the future?
Yeah, and also as you were saying, if you're a newer player, like, you should enjoy the game. If you enjoy the game, you should play the game.
Yeah.
But also understand what the game is and what the game isn't. And yeah, this is what
Uh,
the game is.
Yeah. One other thing. One a positive. Look, the game is playable. It's it's pretty broken right now, but like 95% of the
Yeah.
time the game's playable. But that's not a good standard to judge a game by. But there are a lot of new players to Live, which is great, and I think Pocket's part of it. It's been really good. And unfortunately, though, Live is not a just not a good client. Unfortunately, to have a bunch of new people that are the future of the game, and it's a rough introduction to it there.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Pocket, I think like so. I guess one thing is to think about this game and kind of compare it to Pocket. So one thing. So I said Pocket when Pocket was announced, which Pocket's probably like the thing I've been most excited for since I've started playing the Pokemon TCG, and like most nervous about. I remember Pocket the like day it came out. I think like my adrenaline was pumping and I like couldn't sleep, which is probably very bad. But regardless, Pocket's something that is really awesome. It's really changed the TCG, and I think it's cool. It's positive. And it's something that is it's opening up the Pokemon TCG and playing the TCG as well. Obviously, it's a major collecting focused thing, but Pocket's something that people play and people collect and people enjoy and enjoy casually. But live, so Pocket's mobile exclusive. Live was supposed to be. Oh, and so we didn't talk about this at all yet, actually. So PTCGO was not well, it was on but tablet.
You could play it on a tablet, yeah. You couldn't play it on your phone, though, I don't believe.
Yeah, which is like the main mobile. That's what people generally mean, but you could do
Right.
it on that. But you can do live on mobile. Oh, except you can't play it on everything now, right?
Yeah, some of the older things, and it still does. Well, that whole and the phone thing is actually its own big issue too, right? Not going to get it, but it would like heat up your phone crazy. I haven't played it on my phone in a while, so I don't know. I think it's gotten better, but I think it's still probably not in a good place. It would just burn through your battery like crazy. So they didn't do a good job with the mobile app either.
Yeah, I don't play live on my phone. I know some people do, and some people just play it on their phone. I had a while ago I had a phone. I think I've talked about this once or twice before. I had a phone that was not a good phone. It was a bit damaged, and what got quite unhappy when it
Yeah.
like heated up and stuff. I did not feel comfortable playing live on my phone as I thought it would just potentially ruin it. So that that's something I have never had. There wasn't anything else that I was considering that about. But anyway, so um. Pocket is mobile exclusive. Live was mobile, intended to be a mobile focused game, including with some like visual stuff. They prioritized mobile over like PC or whatever, which I
Yeah.
understand. They want to reach that market, and ultimately, Live didn't. I mean, the regular Pokemon TCG just doesn't really work well for mobile. Pocket has changed it, and I think works pretty well. I think Pocket's like we've talked about a bunch. It's a game that's in a bit of a middle ground, trying to have enough depth in gameplay while also making it fast. And I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a weird middle ground, but that means that they're not doing anything. You're getting like a solid product while also for what you want, while also making it available to what other people want. But the regular TCG, you have too many turns and the game's just too long and there's too much stuff as well. The bench is actually too big and anyways. Live just isn't super great on as a mobile game, so people wanted to play it on the computer, and so they end up shifting it towards that. But Live and Pocket, their ideas were very, very similar, trying to be these games to the Pokemon TCG. And then clearly that's like not the future of Live, and Pockets, replaced it. But I think that Pocket can learn, or no, Live can learn from Pocket. And so we'll see if that happens. I don't necessarily know if it will. You mentioned monetization. Obviously, Pocket's monetized. Monetization for a game is obviously that's the pretty major downside of, well, it's not free. Pocket you can do for free. We've both done it for free, and we have a lot of stuff, but we don't have all the stuff, unlike in Live. And so that does allow you to put more money into the game, though, and that is a major upside. It's not something that I think is talked about that much, but it is something that theoretically could be good for life. Though I don't want it. I mean, I want the I like the Pokemon TCG because it's a game that I think is fun, and I think it's a cool franchise. But I want it to be something that can be played by everyone, and I think at the point in which if it becomes monetized, it would probably become pay to win and be very unfun for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, partly it depends how they monetize it as well, right? Look, we both played Pocket. I enjoyed Pocket at first. I still do it some, but I like the full uh, game. The regular TCG is a more rich gameplay experience, which I like. I think when you mentioned the mobile design of mobile first for live, because I think it was that at first. And yes, it's too many cards and things to fit on a phone screen. Well, I think the full TCG, but that might have been part of the design issues because they tried to structure the game for mobile. So that might have made their PC development a little worse too. So they might not have prioritized that initially, which was a problem. One of the things with live, I mean, with Pocket, it's monetized probably pretty fairly, but that's not probably a decent balance to it, I think. Not the focus here. In every other major TCG game, also with their online client, is monetized, as far as I know. So Pokemon's the outlier. One thing to be aware, and you mentioned it early, this is not the big company. It's not the Pokemon company. This is the Pokemon Company International. International usually means a bit the bigger company, but it's not. It's more limited. It doesn't do all the games. For one thing, and it doesn't have all the world. So in Japan, being a major region, if not the major region, they don't have live there. So that's also just mean, I don't know if there'll ever be to have a really quality client, it probably would need to be a global one, including Japan. I don't know that the Pokemon Company wants that. So that's one question of what's going to happen there. And then in terms of monetization, Pocket is collectors first, I would say. Gameplay second, although they did a good job, I think, with the gameplay decisions. Live is about the gameplay, but now I'm wondering the other change that happened, which you didn't mention, or it's gonna happen. They made an announcement with this update that you're not gonna be able to craft the secret rare cards, the ones with the numbers above the quote number of cards in the set. You're not gonna be able to craft those for 6 months. So you're going to be able to get those as rewards, but not craft them for 6 months. So are they trying to do something for collectors, and maybe is the goal going to be to monetize from collectors? It's a strange move to me that they're doing that. They said that's going to happen with the next set, which I forget the name of right now.
Yeah, Journey
Um,
Together.
Journey Together, which is also rotation happens. So they're gonna make that change to the in-game economy where you can't craft the higher rarity cards. So I don't, I'm not sure what the logic behind that is. Again, it seems like it's moving to monetization, but not positive there.
Yeah, and at first I thought they said so. I believe originally they said they weren't going to monetize, but that was just like at first. So they left it open to
Right.
monetizing later. I think it's a substantial amount of time into the game. It seems. I think a lot of us have just gotten very used to the fact that it is free. Well, okay, it's free. Technically, you can kind of spend money on the game by using code cards. It's not really that important. Pokemon TCG Online, it was very important. Pokemon TCG
Right.
Online was a bit pay to win, and the Pokemon Company International didn't receive any money for the money that you were paying, so that was like a big mess. But yeah, here in live, it's you can technically spend money, but yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Right. Yeah, with PTCG, the old system, and it was a trading based one. Trading's gone. Also, you and I are both fine with trading being gone because I think we felt it didn't work well, and I think it's tough to implement. But there's obviously people that are upset about that they got rid of the trading, and I get how one likes that notion, but I think the crafting system works better there. But because it was trading based, it was supply demand type system. To get like the new good cards when they came out, it was difficult. So as budget players, you couldn't really get the new deck off until the next set came out. To get like when Arceus came out, I don't think until Palkia set came out, we couldn't get Arceus. I don't think so. So it's nice being able to have that access to the new cards now. That's been a plus. So with that regard.
Yeah, and speaking of trading, I've heard people when Live was announced, a lot of people complained that there wasn't trading in the game. I didn't really hear really any good reasons. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the trading card game," but like, so like, how do they not have trading card game? But also by that same logic, these cards aren't like real cards either. So, anyways, but realistic, like in all seriousness, the trading mechanic, it was terrible in Pokemon TCG Online. We've gone into it some. It was really bad. I've not heard anything good about it outside of a few people who were pretty obsessive about it. I don't actually like know anyone personally who was, but I've certainly well, if you saw it, there are people like just like spamming trades. But anyways, that was a big mess from top to bottom and was the glitchiest part of the game. But then we also seen trading in Pocket, and trading in Pocket is also pretty bad. I think I think it's the worst part of Pocket we've seen so far. It's not something that's um, I don't know. I've not really used it. I've not used it to like get cards I want. If you look at the Pocket forums, they're unusable. Just gonna be like if you wanna I mean, they're pretty. It's just being flooded with people talking about trades, and they're just like saying, "Oh, can you like give me all your good cards?" And then it's like everyone's saying like, "Can you give me all your cards?" And that's it. So if you want to do that, it doesn't work for trading, and of course it doesn't work for anything else because all you see are these people asking for cards. So it's a bit of a mess, or it's a big mess. So I don't think there's any way. We've seen this happen twice now with the Pokemon TCG where trading just doesn't really work. So I don't hope for that to come to life. I think it's something that they should stay away from, even more so than I would have said at first.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I mean, in Pocket, I'm kind of put off by the way they implemented trading, so it's made me less interested in playing Pocket altogether, I will say. But I'm not sure with Pokemon. The fact that the forums have become they've become inundated with trade requests does show the popularity of it. So Pokemon might actually be happy with the situation. I'm not sure, but that's
Yeah.
you know, we're not a Pocket podcast, and that's not where I think either of us want to spend the bulk of our time. So. We'll see how that sorts out. I don't think trading's coming back to live, though. It does seem really odd to me, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on it. Why would they take what they call these overnumber cards? Why would they make them not craftable for 6 months? Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've said the monetization thing. They've made a lot of changes. This is not something new where they've made a change and it's like unexplainable. And they're not explaining it either. It's not like, oh, we don't really have a good explanation outside of just kind of guessing. No, they have not offered any explanation. I think it's the same thing for like full expanded. You've said that like you think people would be really unhappy. They'd use it more, and then they'd be really unhappy about it. But it would certainly definitely make the game better if they had, or not full expanded, if they had friend matching expanded. Full expanded would make the game better, but that's something that does take a lot of work, and I do understand that. And so if they can't do it, they can't do it. But they can definitely make friend matches expanded, which would make the game. I think it would make it drastically better for everyone, as you could try out more like custom formats. For example, like you could do some custom formats in standard, and it's okay. Though it's not great. Standard is it's made for standard and it's made for the card pool that it's in. And so if you start shrinking that card pool, it gets not super fun. Like it's less fun. Standard is the most fun format, I think. I mean, it's the most played format. So there are some things that, and then they like do these, like, they do like lots of weird changes all the time. So I've gotten to the point where it's like, I don't know why they're making these changes. And yeah, I just I don't know, and I've stopped, I guess, caring. I don't think there's a reason for it because we've just seen this so many times.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to live, it seems to be the Pokemon doesn't really have much of a clue as to what they're doing. They do some things, I guess, for a reason. There's some lot reason for everything, but a lot of the things don't really seem to have a reason. Like I said, I suspect they're heading towards monetization, which if they can fix the game with that, then I'm okay with that. Um,
Well, I think it does depend how much monetization. Like, if the game is as expensive as the actual TCG, I think that's becomes instantly unplayable for most players.
I no, I agree, and I don't want it to be pay to win. That's always a tricky term. Because to what extent was that? Like on PTCGO, let's say it was tough to access the newest cards, but you could access the road decks very easily as a budget player, and you could get like a year old top, within like say the top 10 decks. If one put a list, there are always some older decks, and you could probably as a budget player. I could probably have 5 of the top 10 decks at any time, which isn't terrible, I would
Yeah,
say.
no, Pokemon DC Online was playable. I will say that different formats as well. That's something that
Yeah,
Live doesn't have. I mean, it has the that's not exactly true. It has well, it's not true. It has the expanded beta, which is weird, but
right.
it's like still beta. It's been in beta the entire time, and I legitimately think, oh yeah, and I've said this before. I think it's, if they want to say expanded, this is just going to be Sun and Moon on. I'd be fine with that. If they could give the reason of like this is what we think will be best for the game. Like it doesn't need to be even very specific, other than this is what we want to do, and this is what we decide we want to do. If they can just say that, then I'd be like, okay, okay, they have an idea. But no, they haven't said that. They just kept it like this, and so. This isn't a format that people really play. It's played some, but mostly it's just like old standard decks or stuff. People aren't really playing decks that are like actual live expanded. It's kind of like weird. Again, you can't like find tournament decks and stuff like that, which does make it easier. If there were those, so it's a little awkward, but some people don't really do it, and certainly don't do it to play actual live expanded decks. So there's really one format versus Pokemon TCG Online had four. There was the Legacy format. That format, I've heard some people say some good things about. I didn't really play it that much, but when I did play it, it was pretty bad. Legacy was quite bad. I'd say it was worse than live expanded beta. But anyways, there was the other formats. The regular expanded format was mediocre. And then there was the theme format, which I believe was more popular than standard. I wasn't 100% sure on that, but it was very popular. And then there was standard. Theme was cheaper. It was more casual focused, but it was something that I think everyone could enjoy if you went in with an open mind. I know there are some people who are like themes really bad, but they were like they went. I didn't really hear good explanations other than they don't like it, which you don't have to like it, but it's something that I thought was really cool. And they removed definitely one of the features that I missed the most from PTCGO, if not the feature I missed the most.
Yeah, and they stopped making themed decks as such, so theme format wasn't going to come to live. Because
Yeah,
because even with PTCGO, they stopped adding new theme decks, which wasn't great. So I'm not sure there was a long-term solution to that anyway. Yeah, it was important to the in-game economy because it was tougher as a new player to get going. So themed was the budget way to play, and I enjoyed it as well. I'm sure there's legacy fans out there, so just to give some to to say something I think good towards it is when we went into PTCGO, Legacy was on its way out because they had in-game events as well, which was nice in the game, whether you liked it or not. But it was again another way to play the game. There were 8-person tournaments, and they actually had Legacy tournaments as well early on. This was before we played. I think that made the format probably healthier. It made it easier to get the cards as well. So,
yeah, because
um,
there was trading in Pokemon TCG Online, but not every card was tradable. The only tradable cards are ones that were bought with or redeemed through code cards, or the ones that were won through the in-game tournaments, and you can only get um, packs from the format of the tournament. And so for
right.
specifically Heart Gold Soul Silver, Legacy was Heart Gold Soul Silver through the Black and White era, which is 4 years. It's like a bit bigger than standard. I'm not really sure why it exists. I guess it's because I believe Live or no, PTCGO started with Heart Gold Soul Silver, and that those cards would just have been unusable in any sense outside of Unlimited, which is just like playing with friends. So they wanted to give it a space there. But yeah, then you could not really acquire the cards outside just like buying them and pulling them from packs, and yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, live only having one format's a problem, and they need to get past that. And I don't know what their solution's going to be for that. Yeah, if they could, the expanded needs to be. Look, they eventually, if live's going to stick around long term, it needs to get full expanded eventually. But even with the truncated beta format, it needs to be playable by friends. They should make it for the rank ladder as well. I know you're not a big fan of the rank ladder, but it's still also a way to make progress with the rewards. So if you have to play standard decks every day to get
The
your
rank ladder
rewards,
doesn't get you that many
you do get
rewards,
it gets you
right?
some though. No,
Yes, like let's
yeah,
see. I'm gonna
that's
quickly check. You get oh wait, there's one for the baby tier. Oh, I guess that's how does this work? Okay, you get a black belt training, 200. What are these things called? The purple ones? Trainer points. And
yeah, trainer points.
the
Sorry.
Dunsparce, you get a full art Amaris, 300 more trainer points. Then you
Hmm.
get 400 trainer points. You get a full or a secret, some Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, which is a good card. And then for the Master League, you get 500 trainer points. You get a Giacomo and a Pekarunt EX. And then at the very top, you get that one like crate thing, which has like some good cards. They're not like absolutely insane, but they're good. Um, 600 credits, or no, what are they? Trainer points,
Trainer,
a
yeah.
Janine secret art, and a Trapago CX. And a lot of these are fancier arts. This is like solid. I'd say it's like, it's worth something, I guess. But the amount of time this takes is a lot. I would say it's personally not worth it. Um, I mean, it's like fine. I mean, if I might do it. I'll probably get some of these, if not all of them. But I wouldn't. I don't. You wouldn't just do it just for the rewards.
No, but I mean, I think you get like 2,000 trainer tickets about, or trainer points, sorry, is meaningful. So you can get something in the shop for that as well as the card. So it's a plus. And it's easy to make progress because until you get towards Ultra League or Master League, you don't go backwards for losses. So people should probably at least be getting to Master League, I would anticipate, if they want to play the game. So I think it's meaning. I just think I do think expanded, you need to be able to play with friends, and I do think that you should be able to do it on the ladder as well. Just if it's a real thing, I don't see
Yeah,
any
it should be
reason
on
not
par
to do
with
it.
standard.
Right. The problem is, the reason I've said this to you, and I'm maybe on the podcast past, is once they make it available for friends matches, there will be some online tournaments, which is a good thing in general, except standard already struggles. There's I would imagine there's going to be a whole lot of glitches. So people are going to get really unhappy in a hurry if they do that. I think they're afraid, honestly, of the
Yeah,
backlash.
I'll
So they're
say
holding
yeah. I
off.
feel like if you're a Pokemon DG fan, don't complain about positives. I'll just say that because then you're making it worse for you and everyone else. Live doesn't do that much well. It does some things well though, and if they add that in, that needs to be something that that's really good. Regardless of if it works not great, it's still a major improvement.
Yeah, look, the bait expanded needs to be friends matches, but they need to get standard to work first, and they're not there. Even if we go back a week before this glitches with this last update, standard's still not working to the level it should. And it's taken them, it's very rare that they actually add improvements to the game. So, and they've been pulling back things. They dropped PTCGO so they could put more resources. They dropped the Pokédex app so they could put more resources to it. But nothing, things aren't really happening. So look, the game's playable for the most part. It's sort of broken right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, I will say. Or sorry, were you saying something? Can I
I
chime in?
just No, go ahead.
So with we got a thing with Prismatic Evolutions. We got a special event, the Evolution event. Which I hate this. I'm gonna be completely honest. Some people might like it though. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. They made these like challenges that are like kind of impossible. I rebuilt it. Yeah, I got the easier one of two sparkling crystal, which is whatever. The first one was play an Espeon EX and an Umbreon EX, which is these cards aren't particularly good. So they've added some stuff. I looked at the thing. It says click the places here. The overnumbered cards. Okay, the Eevee and friends light up. I don't know. There's some like stuff. I don't really know how this is working. The Eevee's prismatic parade. Um, yeah, you can get. There's like extra points for Pokemon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just look, it's a little gimmick, which is it's fine. It doesn't hurt anybody. They gave us sleeves and stuff, and again, I think with all the live problems, not everyone got the sleeves they're supposed to get too. But that's how it goes with live. And I think as you play games using the sleeve for the evolution you like, then every game you play gets a point for it. And I think if they win the game, they get a second point, and at the end of some time period, they're going to announce what the winner is, and then they're going to make a free alternate art something for the winning card, Pokemon. So,
Whoa.
Yeah, but look, that's not hurting anybody. Now, but my concern,
Well,
the
it is
concern
like
is,
taking resources.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They're spending resources that could actually be making the game work instead, right? Um, but I think that look, there's a marketing group for Live, and I think they know what they're doing. But unfortunately, the developers of the game are the ones that don't seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm not
like at the
like I
top and probably trickling down. I
yeah,
don't
look,
know. I don't think it's just one problem.
no, it's multiple problems. I also think the game started during COVID, um, and everything went remote at that point. So all of a sudden, like all these tech people and programmers were in demand. So they probably had staffing issues as well. I think unexpectedly, but so they've been dealing with things. But yes, yeah, I think first and foremost, I think there's high level bad decisions with Live. And then probably, I'm sure there's developers that know that are doing their jobs okay to some extent. I'm sure there's not enough developers. They probably are being forced to work on a game that isn't good. And I can't imagine, and some of the developers might not be that good as well. I don't know. But honestly, I can't imagine the developers feel very good when they go home after work, or they're probably already home working on their computer. I don't know. But it can't be a very fulfilling job working on a game. They all have to know that the game just doesn't work well and everybody hates it.
Yeah. So live is going down probably. I think we didn't really actually talk about the future. We kind of talked about. I don't know.
Uh,
I think that ultimately, I don't want to. I feel like it's got to go and it's got to get replaced. But I don't know if that will ever get anywhere because that's what happened before.
well,
But
I think, look, I think when the time comes, I think they'll learn the lesson. A couple things. First off, are they going to monetize at some point, either with live or with the next version? It eventually, I think it's going to happen. Hopefully, they do it well. I don't know. Hopefully, it will get resources into the game, which is a plus. Um, will the game ever become available internationally, including Japan? I don't think so, but that would be a good thing for it. Yes, the game Pocket. I mean, Live will get replaced eventually. I would imagine they want to get like 10 years or at least 8 years out of the game before they have to put all the resources in to develop the game. So we're like 2 years in to it, three from the
uh,
very the initial beta. So that might be another 7 years of this, which isn't a very, and the downs. We could just limp by for another like 6 7 years, which wouldn't be good.
yeah, and it's something that I think is hurting the fan base. Like people are stopping playing Pokemon TCG. I know a lot of people who've stopped because of live. They enjoyed Pokemon TCG online, and they just haven't enjoyed live. I think it's yeah, I don't know. I'm just this is not a very positive podcast, but yeah,
Yeah, and look, I'm just gonna say they need a reason for the game, which is partly why I go back to monetization maybe too often. But right now, they don't. One of the questions we've never known the answer really is what's the reason that Live exists in the first place. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe it just exists because it's there, and PTJ was there, so they kind of, and other companies do something, they're doing it, but it needs a place in their business plan to get the attention it needs, and maybe that's part of what needs to get fixed. What's Live for, so they can actually get it working. So hopefully, look, this is not the big Pokemon company, the international company, but it's big enough. Obviously, could put the money to get the game correct. So hopefully people up high enough in the company want to get the game right and make some decisions for that. Have no idea about that though. If and when that time's going to come.
hmm but we can hope for the best. I mean, the game should improve some, and so if this is around in 5 years from now. Hopefully it's at a solid point. I mean, hopefully it's at a great point, right? But I think it
Yeah,
could get to a solid point where there's some cool new features because Live really didn't add any particularly good. It added mobile play, which is nice, though not great. And then it added I don't know.
they
Yeah,
improved it visually, right? I mean, it
yeah,
looks
yeah,
more of a modern game. PTC Joe was looking old and outdated,
yeah.
so
Live certainly doesn't look great, but it looks like something.
yeah. Well, I don't think it's. I mean, I don't think that's the big problem with Live is the visuals, but it could get better there. But Look, a week ago, before these major issues, I would have said live is on a positive track. Too slow, but they're improving slowly, but improving. Right now, obviously, we're down today. Hopefully, these issues get sorted out soon, and then hopefully, at least every expansion, they need to add a couple features into the game, get everything PTZO had, plus get a few new things as well. And then we could feel a lot better about the game. So hopefully that's things will turn. Hopefully this is the low point and we start to feel better about live down the road. Anyway, that's where we're at today. Sorry for the down tone to the podcast, but it's been a really rough week for live, and I think you were right. 10 types that we needed to talk about it today. So anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
No, no, not really. I hope it gets better. I don't have amazingly high hopes. I don't know. I'm looking forward to talking about something else next week. But yeah, I mean, live is what it is, and the Pokemon company has a lot of resources, which is a good thing for live, hopefully.
It is, and look, and most of the time, live is playable. I will say that. Sometimes it gets a reputation it's not, but yeah, it needs to get better. So hopefully down the road we can talk about how we're happy with live. But that's where it's at today. So try not to get too negative in the comments because I know that's something you're always concerned about negative type videos or podcasts. So, subscribe to our channels. Mine Uncommon Fossil with the one M or 10 types. That's the number 10 followed by types. You can see we have the podcast is on basically it should be essentially on all the podcasting apps, and we both upload a video to each of our channels. If you want to comment on it, comment on our channels. If you want to ideally address if it's specific to one of us, try to make it on that channel. And check out both channels to see what else content we have because we do approach things a little bit differently with the Pokemon TCG coverage we do there. So anyway, hopefully this wasn't too depressing of a podcast, and hopefully the future looks up. So just want to say thank you and do take care.
Yep, take care.